Practice makes perfect.
Hey Emma, have you ever tried learning a new language?
Yes, I have. I learned Spanish last year.
That's impressive. What motivated you to learn a new language?
I've always been fascinated by different cultures, and I wanted to challenge myself.
How did you start your language learning journey?
I began with online courses and language apps to build the basics.
Please like and subscribe our channel. It will help us to grow.
Do you think immersing yourself in the language's culture helps?
Absolutely. Watching movies, listening to music, and speaking with native speakers made a huge difference.
Which language do you find most challenging to learn?
Mandarin was quite challenging due to the characters, but it was rewarding.
How do you stay motivated during the learning process?
Setting small goals and celebrating achievements keeps me motivated.
Have you ever had a language learning partner?
Yes, I joined a language exchange program and practiced with a native Spanish speaker.
Do you think age plays a role in language learning?
Not really. Anyone can learn a new language at any age, it's about dedication.
Have you visited a country where the language you learned is spoken?
Not yet, but I plan to visit Spain soon to practice my Spanish.
What language learning resources do you recommend?
Duolingo, Babbel, and language exchange apps are great places to start.
Is there a particular method you find most effective for vocabulary retention?
Flashcards and using new words in daily conversations have been helpful for me.
How do you handle the frustration of not understanding a language immediately?
I remind myself that it's part of the learning process, and I seek help when needed.
Do you dream in the language you are learning?
Occasionally. It's a sign that I'm becoming more comfortable with it.
Have you ever experienced a language barrier while traveling?
Yes, in Paris. My French wasn't strong enough, but gestures helped me communicate.
Do you prefer learning languages in a classroom setting or self-study?
I like a mix of both. Classroom settings provide structure, and self-study allows flexibility.
How do you balance learning multiple languages?
I focus on one primary language and dabble in others during breaks to keep things interesting.
Can you share a funny language learning moment you've had?
In a restaurant, I accidentally ordered snails, thinking they were mushrooms. Quite a surprise.
Do you think knowing multiple languages enhances cognitive abilities?
Absolutely. It improves memory, problem-solving skills, and multitasking.
Have you ever used language learning games?
Yes, they make the process fun. I play Scrabble in different languages.
How do you incorporate language learning into your daily routine?
I listen to podcasts during my commute and read articles before bed.
Have you attended language exchange meetups?
Yes, it's a great way to practice and make new friends who share similar interests.
What advice would you give to someone hesitant about starting to learn a new language?
Start with the basics, be patient, and enjoy the journey. It's a rewarding experience.
How do you measure your language proficiency level?
I use standardized tests like the SFROR guidelines.
Do you think learning a new language has opened up new career opportunities for you?
It has certainly expanded my job prospects, especially in international settings.
Which aspect of language learning do you find most challenging?
Mastering the pronunciation of certain sounds can be tricky.
Have you tried teaching the language you've learned to someone else?
Yes, I've helped friends with basic Spanish, and it's a great way to reinforce my own knowledge.
What cultural aspect of a language do you find most interesting?
I love exploring idioms and expressions unique to each culture.
Do you prefer formal or informal language settings for learning?
I think a mix is essential to understand different registers and contexts.
How do you handle setbacks in your language learning journey?
I reflect on what went wrong, adjust my approach, and keep moving forward.
Do you use language learning as a way to connect with your heritage?
Yes, learning my grandparents' native language has helped me connect with my roots.
Have you ever participated in a language immersion program?
Not yet, but I'm considering it for a more intensive learning experience.
Do you find language learning apps more helpful than traditional methods?
They both have their merits. Apps are convenient, but traditional methods provide depth.
Have you ever faced resistance from native speakers when trying to communicate in their language?
Not resistance, but some find it amusing when I mix up words. It's all part of the learning process.
How do you maintain language proficiency over time?
I continue practicing, attend language events, and consume media in the language regularly.
What's your favorite language learning success story?
Helping a friend become fluent in English after years of practice was incredibly rewarding.
How has learning a new language influenced your perception of your native language?
It made me appreciate the intricacies and richness of my native language even more.
Do you use mnemonics or memory aids to remember vocabulary?
Yes, especially for tricky words. Mnemonics make learning more enjoyable.
Have you ever felt discouraged and wanted to give up on learning a language?
Yes, but I remind myself of the progress I've made and keep pushing forward.
How do you manage your time when juggling language learning with other commitments?
I schedule dedicated time slots for learning, making it a priority alongside other activities.
How do you choose which language to learn next?
I consider the cultural and professional relevance and personal interest in the language.
Have you used language learning challenges to stay motivated?
Yes, participating in challenges with friends adds a competitive and fun element to learning.
How do you overcome the fear of speaking a new language?
Practice, practice, practice. The more you speak, the more confident you become.
Have you ever encountered cultural misunderstandings due to language differences?
Yes, but it's a learning opportunity. It's essential to be open to understanding different perspectives.
How do you approach learning languages with different writing systems?
I break it down into smaller components and practice regularly to reinforce characters or symbols.
Do you think being bilingual or multilingual has influenced your personality?
It has made me more adaptable and open-minded, appreciating different ways of expressing ideas.
Do you have a favorite language learning memory?
Celebrating my first conversation entirely in Spanish was a memorable and proud moment.
Do you use language learning as a way to enhance your travel experiences?
Absolutely. Knowing the local language adds a layer of connection and understanding.
How do you incorporate cultural aspects into your language learning?
I explore literature, traditions, and historical events to deepen my cultural understanding.
Do you think technology has made language learning more accessible?
Definitely. Online resources and language apps have democratized language learning.
How do you find the balance between learning formal grammar and colloquial expressions?
I focus on a solid grammatical foundation but ensure I'm exposed to colloquial expressions through conversations and media.
Have you ever participated in language exchange events in your city?
Yes, I attended a language exchange meetup last month. It was a great way to practice.
Do you find it challenging to switch between languages in the middle of a conversation?
At times, especially when the languages are quite different. It takes practice to switch seamlessly.
How do you handle the different dialects within a language?
I try to expose myself to various dialects through movies, music, and conversations with native speakers.
Have you ever used virtual reality or augmented reality for language learning?
Not yet, but I've heard it can provide immersive language learning experiences.
What role do language tutors play in your learning journey?
Tutors provide personalized guidance and correct my mistakes, which accelerates my learning.
Have you ever faced cultural stereotypes while trying to speak a new language?
Unfortunately, yes. It's essential to challenge stereotypes and approach each language with an open mind.
How do you deal with the fear of making mistakes when speaking a new language?
I embrace mistakes as part of the learning process. Each error is an opportunity to improve.
Do you find language immersion more effective than traditional classroom learning?
Immersion offers a practical approach, but classroom learning provides essential structure and grammar understanding.
How do you make language learning enjoyable for yourself?
I incorporate my interests into the learning process, like learning about cooking in a new language.
Do you use language learning challenges to set milestones for yourself?
Yes, setting challenges keeps me motivated and helps track my progress.
How do you handle burnout from intensive language learning sessions?
I take short breaks, engage in other activities, and come back to language learning with a fresh perspective.
Have you ever translated a book or article as part of your language learning practice?
Yes, translating helps me understand nuances and improves my vocabulary.
How do you navigate learning languages with complex grammatical structures?
I break down complex structures into simpler components and practice them in context.
How do you adapt your learning strategy when switching between similar languages?
I focus on the unique aspects of each language to avoid confusion and strengthen my skills.
Do Do you prefer online courses or in-person classes for language learning?
Both have their advantages. Online courses offer flexibility, while in-person classes provide immediate feedback.
How has learning a new language impacted your understanding of your own cultural identity?
It has made me appreciate the cultural nuances within my own identity and heritage.
Have you ever used language learning apps that incorporate artificial intelligence?
Yes, AI-driven apps can tailor learning experiences based on individual strengths and weaknesses.
How do you stay consistent in your language learning routine?
Setting a dedicated time each day and making language learning a habit has helped me stay consistent.
Do you find language learning to be more challenging as an adult compared to when you were younger?
While it may take more effort, adults bring valuable experience and dedication to the learning process.
How do you balance learning formal grammar rules with colloquial language usage?
I prioritize understanding formal grammar but complement it with exposure to colloquial expressions in real-life contexts.
Have you ever used language learning podcasts to improve your listening skills?
Yes, podcasts are a fantastic way to train your ear to different accents and speech patterns.
How do you handle language learning plateaus where progress seems slow?
I revisit basics, set new challenges, or explore different aspects of the language to overcome plateaus.
Have you ever learned a language solely through immersion without formal study?
Not entirely, but I believe immersion is a powerful complement to formal study.
How do you approach learning languages with distinct tonal qualities?
I practice listening to tones using language apps and mimic native speakers to improve my pronunciation.
How do you adapt your learning style when transitioning from a Romance language to a tonal language?
I focus on mastering the tonal aspects while leveraging my understanding of language structures from Romance languages.
Have you ever used language learning challenges on social media to connect with other learners?
Yes, participating in challenges on platforms like Instagram has connected me with a supportive language learning community.
How do you handle language-specific gestures and body language in your learning?
I research cultural gestures to avoid misunderstandings and incorporate them into my language practice.
Have you ever attended language meetups virtually through video calls?
Yes, especially during the pandemic. Virtual meetups provide a global perspective on language learning.
How do you incorporate humor into your language learning routine?
Watching comedies in the target language helps me understand cultural humor and improves my language skills.
Have you explored learning sign language as a form of language diversity?
Yes, I've started learning basic sign language to enhance my overall language proficiency.
How do you manage language learning while balancing work or school commitments?
I create a realistic schedule, incorporating short language study sessions into my daily routine.
Have you ever created your own mnemonics or memory aids for language learning?
Yes, creating personal associations helps me remember words and phrases more effectively.
How do you handle different writing systems, like logographic characters or alphabets?
I practice writing and typing in the new script daily to build familiarity and speed.
Do you use language learning to connect with family members who speak a different language?
Absolutely. It strengthens our bond and allows me to communicate more effectively with relatives.
How do you choose the first words and phrases to learn in a new language?
I start with common greetings, expressions, and basic vocabulary related to daily activities.
Have you ever participated in language learning workshops or seminars?
Yes, attending workshops provides insights into different learning methodologies and strategies.
How do you adapt your learning approach for languages with intricate writing systems, like calligraphy?
I appreciate the artistry of the script and incorporate calligraphy practice as part of my language learning.
Do you find that learning one Romance language makes it easier to learn others?
Definitely. The shared roots in Latin make it easier to grasp vocabulary and grammatical structures.
How do you use flashcards effectively in your language learning routine?
I create flashcards with visuals, use them regularly, and review them to reinforce my memory.
Have you ever created your own language learning materials, like worksheets or guides?
Yes, creating materials helps me personalize my learning experience and reinforce concepts.
How do you maintain a balance between language learning and other hobbies or interests?
I allocate specific time slots for each activity, ensuring a well-rounded routine.
How do you deal with cultural differences that affect language usage and etiquette?
Researching cultural norms helps me navigate conversations respectfully and avoid unintentional offenses.
How do you approach learning indigenous languages to honor and preserve cultural heritage? I
collaborate with native speakers, participate in language preservation initiatives, and engage with cultural events.
Have you ever faced resistance from others who questioned the need to learn a specific language?
Yes, but explaining the personal and professional benefits usually helps them understand.
How do you manage time zone differences when practicing with language exchange partners abroad?
We schedule sessions at times convenient for both, being flexible to accommodate time zone challenges.
How do you incorporate travel experiences into your language learning journey?
I practice the local language during travels, enhancing my cultural and linguistic understanding.
Have you ever participated in language competitions or language proficiency tests?
Yes, participating in competitions motivates me to excel and provides a benchmark for my progress.
How do you adapt your language learning methods for languages with rich oral traditions?
I prioritize listening and oral exercises, mimicking pronunciation to capture the richness of oral traditions.
How do you choose resources that align with your preferred learning style, whether visual, auditory, or kinesthetic?
I experiment with various resources to identify what resonates best with my learning preferences.
How do you introduce language learning to children or younger family members?
I make it fun, incorporating games, songs, and interactive activities to keep them engaged and curious.